And I
Yeah.
think that's what's happening is what I meant by going away. It's like a lot of people were using different landing pages and different things.
Hmm.
And the more they realize when something gets turned off, per se, what
Yeah.
was happening, it was like, wait a minute, I don't own it. It went
Yeah.
away. It
Hmm.
disappeared. As soon as I stopped paying that 99, I
It's
have no
gone.
more, I don't have access to it anymore.
Yeah.
Whereas with WordPress, you may not have, let's say if you didn't have whatever the $15 a month to pay extra,
Right.
but once you turn it back on, it was still there.
Yeah. Yeah. At its core, WordPress is open source, which means that it's free to use. And a lot of these paid plugins, you're paying for support and updates for, per year. But the plugins still exist on your site. So it will continue working, within reason. If it's 10 years old and WordPress core updates and does something, then it may not. But within reason, it will continue to work and it will work
Mhm.
fine and you won't lose that content for sure. So
So,
yes, for sure.
so suppose, and I know one of the question was, what's the difference between WordPress.com and WordPress.org? So just so we
Yes.
can share it with those who are, asking those type of questions.
Yes, for sure. So they're two different, at its core, it's a different kind of way of setting things up. The software itself is very similar, but um, the way you're going about it is a little different. So WordPress.com, you're paying WordPress. They do have a free plan, but pretty soon you're paying. You're paying a company to kind of set up your WordPress and to run it and to manage all of that. And in a way, you still don't own your content in the same way when you're what's called self-hosted, and that's WordPress.org. So it's a little bit more similar to a Wix or a Weebly or something like that, where it's all concentrated on one server, and if for whatever reason Automatic decided to close down that part of WordPress, it would go away.
Mm.
Whereas WordPress.org is what's called self-hosted, and that means that you go out to a company like Bluehost or WP Engine or Lyricalhost, and you buy server space from them. That's usually what you do, but you could set it up on your computer. Building out websites, I set up what's called a local host. So it's running on my computer. But for the most part, you go out and you buy server space and then you install WordPress there and then you get set up there. And so all of that is owned by you. You have to pay the host, but all that content is yours. And again, there's a lot of different ways that you can go about it. And there's a lot of different servers and stuff like that. And so the cool thing about that is that if you go with one company and down the line they become slow, or you kind of get an idea that they're just not going to work for you anymore, you can move your WordPress site to another host, to another server quite easily, and kind of just start where you left off. And it's not
Yeah.
like switching from Squarespace to WordPress where you have to move all the content and make sure that everything is set up with redirects for Google to find you correctly and stuff like that.
Exactly. So it's like it belongs to you, and whether you're moving it
Yes.
to Bluehost, to GoDaddy, to HostGator, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You're able to
Hmm.
move it, just like a
Yeah.
domain, like a domain.
Right. Exactly.
So now that I mean, that was thank you for that, because I'm sure a lot of people have got some clarity just on the back end sometimes of
Yeah.
how websites work.
Right.
How did you take that and then bring it into seeing where it could be of value to helping mompreneurs?
Mompreneurs, it just kind of happened naturally. I started joining a few groups on Facebook and talking with people, and we all have our different skill sets. And I would talk with someone who's really good at cooking and has a recipe blog, and all this, but she didn't realize that there was a recipe plugin that formats in a way that Google can, see it better. And so I just kind of gave her that tip and another tip here, or I answered a question there. And, these things that just come so naturally, whereas cooking does not come naturally, but we were able to, kind of exchange, and we would connect on the level of our kids as well. I helped a sleep trainer at the time where, I was trying to figure out my kids' sleep patterns and stuff like that. And so, we would trade tips and tricks and stuff like that. I did a lot of trades for services. So not quite with the sleep trainer, but with other people that were maybe social media managers, and Pinterest is still something that is beyond me. But I was like, well, I want to up my Pinterest game. So, will you do my pins and stuff like that? And I'll do your website. And so, we started out with trades, and I was like, well, I can do more with this. And I really love
Yeah.
teaching. And so why don't I teach? And so it's not as expensive as, getting me to design the whole site, but they can learn at the core what they need to do and do it themselves if they want. And I always hope that I try and call myself your techie BFF in your back pocket. So kind of when you get stuck, you ping me and I'm there to help, and I have all the courses to help you out. But if something still doesn't make sense, or if you run into something specific on your site, then I'm still there to kind of help out. So.
I love that. I love how you mentioned that, right? You're there to help and help support them to build, whether it's a website, even, teaching them about the different plugins. Because a lot of times it's not that they can't do the job as far as building the website, but sometimes it's those little details, and then a person
Yeah,
gets stuck, and then it totally derails the whole project, the whole website project.
exactly.
So being able to, reach out to you and connect with you to help them,
Yeah,
keep it moving and getting the final results, which is to open store, right? Whatever you're opening, and then be
yeah,
able to serve their clients. So that's fantastic.
right.
So what would you say is your why? Like, why do you feel that is important to help others, especially in the tech world? And I know you
Well,
love to
tech world.
teach it, but what is it so important for you that you feel that this is something that becomes a passion and a purpose for you?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is I'm someone that really loves to know the ins and outs of something. So
Okay.
even kind of the things I'm not good at, it takes me a while to get into it because I want to learn all about it and kind of have a full idea of it before I dive in. And I think as, moms, and specifically like moms that are, going out and starting a business, that's a very true. Like, we don't have the cash flow to hire out. So we want to make sure that we have the confidence to do it ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and not be left there, without knowing it. And I think the trick with technology a lot of times is that it can be frustrating. You can
Yeah.
watch a YouTube video and it says do X, Y, and Z, and you try and do it X, Y, and Z, and a B pops up and you're like, oh, well, what's that? And
And
things
then, and then
change
it's
so
not only that
quickly.
too. It's like, you have the XYZ, but then the X have 10 different spots.
Right.
And wait a minute, you told me X, you told me Y, you told me Z, but how about XA, XB, XC, XD? And it's like, and you can look at the video all you want to, but unless those are, specifically, specific to that detail, you
Yeah,
you can get lost and stay on X for 3 years. Oh,
exactly.
3 months. I won't go 3 years, but
Exactly.
3 months, because you didn't realize that, oh, it was the extra screw that needed to be, in this
Yeah.
part. So,
Yeah, exactly.
so
And things change so quickly. I mean, how many apps change the way that their interface runs so quickly? Even WordPress did a major change in their editor just 2 years ago. It hasn't been that long, you know?
Yeah.
And so how many videos are still out there that use the old editor and are showing the old editor still, you know? How many plugins change the way that they work or change where a setting is?